relaxation of this video, but also in tonight's video, it is my birthday. Yes, October 21st is my birthday. Today is my birthday, so I should have done a live stream today, so thank you to everyone who came out to the live stream or whatever, wished me happy birthday. Thank you guys so much. It might be sad to say, but it does seem like it's more important to you guys than some people who know me in real life, but you guys are just as important to me. I really hope you guys know that and understand that I make this content for you guys. I make this content to not only just to, have fun, talk basketball, yada yada yada, but to be here, help you relax, help you in whatever situation you have going on right now, trying to get your mind off stuff. That's what, ASMR is in this channel. At its core is an ASMR channel to help you in any which way, to help sleep, relax, or just be there for you. That's what I'm here for. And I thank you guys so much for, returning that in some small ways that you guys do. So, thank you guys, first of all, for that. But also in tonight's video, we're going to be talking about who on every NBA team should be taking the team's last and final shot. Now, when I do this list, when I go over these players, it's not just a three-pointer, a dunk, a wide-open layup. It's not a mid-range shot, a free throw. It's every sort of situation. What singular player could take the final shot wherever it is on the court, whatever situation it is, I'm going to be giving mine. So, with that being said, make sure you do like the video if you do like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And also, comment down below maybe a player that you would want to take the final shot for your team. If, the death beam was on Earth, your life is on the line, something crazy like that, who do you want to take the final shot? There's probably a handful of players, all time I can think of, or even some players in the NBA today. But let us jump right into tonight's video. So, like I said in the video, this is going to be a listing of players. Yes, this is a Bleacher Report article. I guess I'm just going to go over it fairly quickly. If I agree, I agree. We move on. If I disagree and I think of another player, then we can talk about it and stuff like that. So again, it should be pretty fun. Make sure you follow along as well. Make sure you are nice, comfy, relaxed, and let's get started. So starting off with the Atlanta Hawks. Again, if we agree, it should go fairly fast. And of course, I think we can all agree, no matter what situation it is, the ball should be in the hands of Ice Trae Young in the clutch. No matter if you're down 1, 2, 3, a free throw, anything like that. Trae Young, his scoring ability off the charts. Very high IQ player as well for how young he is in the league. Has that sort of Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Steve Nash, well maybe not Chris Paul, but definitely Steve Nash, Steph Curry type of player. Really, really, really excited to see where he goes throughout his NBA career. So of course, with a sort of last second sort of clutch moment, it has to be in the hands of Ice Trae Young, that's for sure. Any honorable mentions? I mean, if Cam Reddish can get to that point, I think Cam Reddish could maybe become a very reliable scorer in that sort of sense, but that is many years down the line, I feel. And obviously Trae Young is just, he's the guy, he's the go-to guy, no doubt. Next up, the Boston Celtics. I know they're gonna go with Jayson Tatum, and that's probably the pick to be. Yeah, they put Jayson Tatum on there. I think, of course, Jayson Tatum is the right pick, but man, Jalen Brown, he's really good. He is really, really good, man. I am filming this a day or two after the first set of NBA games, and the Knicks Celtics game with Jayson Tatum, Jalen Brown going up against the Knicks. Jayson Tatum had a very hard shooting slump, and Jalen Brown really picked it up. I think he scored over 40 points that game. Man, I think, any other day, of course, it's going to be Jayson Tatum, but man, Jalen Brown, 1A, 1B type of option when you go into that sort of conversation, but I think we can agree that Jayson Tatum would probably have the ball in his hand, at least in my opinion as well. The Brooklyn Nets, I mean, you got three guys that can really get the job done. Get the job done. But it's probably going to be Kevin Durant. It is Kevin Durant. It probably should be Kevin Durant, but I mean, we've seen Kyrie Irving do it at the highest level. Of course, the NBA Finals, Game 7 being down 3-1. Oh my goodness. But even James Harden, known nowadays as being maybe one of the best facilitators in the NBA, can drop 60, 70 points in an NBA game any given night, I feel. But, yeah, Kevin Durant, one of the best shooters, dude's 7 foot, pretty much unstoppable when he wants to be. I think in the clutch, 100%, well, 85% of the time, it probably should be Kevin Durant. The other percentages just matters who's hot or not that night. Oh, and for the Charlotte Hornets, they actually have scary Terry Rozier. Not LaMelo Ball, not Gordon Hayward. They got scary Terry Rozier. Do I agree with that? Man, that's tough. It's interesting because I would want, like, the ball in the hands of LaMelo Ball, of course, because he is such a high IQ player. He will make the right move. But if it comes down to what player would I want to take a shot, the last second shot, I think it would be Terry Rozier. He is maybe their best scorer, like pure scorer, maybe their best shooter on the floor. That's a tough conversation because, of course, I want the ball in the hands of LaMelo Ball because he will make the right play. He can score, he can facilitate very well. But if I'm talking about a clutch shot, would I want to take the last second shot? I want that to be Terry Rozier. So I guess this is correct technically, but also technically, I would rather have it in LaMelo Ball's hand, make a play, make something happen, and then, of course, if Rozier is wide open for three, that's the best case scenario. If you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, I bet. Gordon Hayward, also a very reliable option, but Terry Rozier as a pure scorer is definitely there, that's for sure. For the Chicago Bulls, they have Zach LaVine. That's easy, no duh, yes, for sure. DeMar DeRozan would be a good option if, again, Zach LaVine is having an off night, but even if Zach LaVine was having an off night, I would still trust it in that guy's hand, that's for sure, as a pure scorer. One of the best in the NBA, Zach LaVine. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, they actually have Darius Garland as the player to go with the ball in the hands of. Wow. You know what? That's tough. I would probably have to disagree and might have to go with the casual pick of Colin Sexton, and not just because I feel like Sexton might be just a better scorer than Garland. Of course, again, it's that conversation of, is it a last second shot or is it just the ball in the hands in a clutch moment? And again, it's the top of the key, counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'd rather have the hands in Colin Sexton, but if it's just, kick out, corner three wide open, who do I want taking that shot? Then I would want it to be Darius Garland. But I think this is more of a situation of it all coming together, and I think in just more situations I'd feel more comfortable with it being Colin Sexton because I feel like he's probably more, I don't know, used to it, capable of doing it, not scared of the big stage, because that man is a fearless player, man. I think they call him Young Bull, or even just Bull. Like, that man has no fear. I might do Colin Sexton, but if it's like a wide open shot, I think Garland for sure. Dallas, of course, Luka Doncic. Man, that dude has already had some big time shots, big time plays already in his young NBA career, and I kind of wait for more to come. That's for sure. Kristaps Porzingis, again, if it's just a wide open three, open shot, that of course Kristaps is really good for a big for shooting threes. But again, if it is a sort of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, necessarily the best case scenario. You know what? I'm going to be controversial. I've been playing it safe. I'm going to say no. I think there are a handful of scenarios where Nikola Jokic would be a great spot to have that as, obviously, of course, but man, I think they could go either way of Michael Porter Jr. or even Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray off the dribble by himself is 7'6", 5'4", 3, 2, 1. I feel like he's really good at that. I would feel very confident in Jamal Murray doing that. And of course, if it's a wide open three, no duh, you gotta get like the nearly like 45% 3-point shooter in a Michael Porter Jr. That dude has a godly shooting stroke, that's for sure. So, man, I mean, of course, Jokic MVP, great pick, but I think me personally, I'd pick Jamal Murray. I don't know if that's dumb. Is that stupid? I don't know. I'm trying to have fun with it. I'm trying to not pick some obvious ones. I'd go with Jamal Murray. Next up for the Detroit Pistons. They have listed Jerami Grant. Ooh, man. That is tough. I mean, of course, they have Cade Cunningham, and that's probably the other player you're going to argue in this scenario. And, I mean, of course, off the dribble, counting down. I mean, I guess you just gotta give it to your cornerstone guy. You just gotta let him, baptism by fire, or whatever they call it. You just gotta throw him in the pit and see what happens. I think you just gotta give it to Cade Cunningham to see if he can even make those type of shots in those scenarios. So I'm just gonna say Cade Cunningham because, I mean, he's gonna be the guy for you. You're gonna have to get him used to that scenario. So even if it's not the right pick, the best shooter on the court, I feel like you just do it because he's gonna have to get used to doing that, being the guy, the go-to man in the clutch as well. I would just say Cade Cunningham just because he's the player, he's the guy, he's the franchise now. So maybe that's a dumb answer, but I think that's the way to go and do it. Next up is the Golden State Warriors, and when I told you guys to comment down below a player that you would probably choose, this is probably the player you probably chose down in the comments, so congratulations, but it is Steph Curry, and of course they also picked Steph Curry, and I think of course the answer is Steph Curry. Of course, again, if it is a, wide open corner three shot, or even wide open anywhere on the court type of shot, Klay Thompson, maybe or at least top 2, top 3 spot-up shooters of all time. I think you might be arguably, in my book, the best spot-up shooter in NBA history. But again, if we're talking about, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, of course, Steph Curry with his godly ball handling skills, the way he can, create space off of nothing, can drive past players, has the nice little floater game, and obviously step back threes. I mean, he's the best, maybe, player at that sort of thing, at creating space. I mean, he's amazing at it, so I think, of course, Steph Curry is the right answer on that one. For the Houston Rockets, they actually have Jalen Green. Of course, again, basically the same answer that I had for Cade Cunningham and the Pistons. It's the same answer for this team. Jalen Green is your next number one scoring option. Might not be the cornerstone type of player like a Cade Cunningham can be, sort of like a playmaker, a guy you can really build around. With Jalen Green, he's just a go-to scorer. You gotta get him used to that scenario. You throw him in the fire and see what happens. I think it is Jalen Green. For the Indiana Pacers, they have Karis LeVert on there, which I think I'm gonna have to disagree on, and I hate that because Karis LeVert is actually a pretty decent scorer in today's NBA, but I think for me personally, I think I would have to go TJ Warren on that. TJ Warren being a little bit of a bigger player best case scenario, but I would say probably TJ Warren, at least in my book. For the LA Clippers, I don't know if this is regarding injury or not, but they actually have Paul George on this page, which, even if Kawhi Leonard was fully healthy, would you pick Paul George over Kawhi Leonard to take a last-second shot for your team? Man. I feel like, again, this is just one of those scenarios where whoever's having the better night just takes the shot, and it is pretty rare that Kawhi has an off night, so I think I'd probably go Kawhi Leonard, unless it's a 3. If it's a 3, I think Paul George takes the shot. So I think every other scenario, if it is whatever, a free throw, a mid-range, a layup, a whatever, a playmaking, a 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 shot, I think it does go to Kawhi Leonard. But if it's a 3, I think Kawhi is a really good three-point shooter, and actually is a very clutch player as well. But Paul George as a three-point shooter, pretty reliable as well. But I think I would go Kawhi still. I think it's just a lot more scenarios where I would just trust Kawhi Leonard more. I think Paul George, great player though, and of course Kawhi Leonard being injured, of course it's Paul George now. But even if Kawhi was healthy, probably would pick Kawhi. For the LA Lakers, they have here LeBron James, and since the opening night game, it looks like LeBron James might be a pretty, knock on wood, reliable three-point shooter even nowadays in his career. So, man, I don't think you could even really question it not being LeBron, unless it is free throws. If it is free throws, God forbid that ever happens. Please no, because that's going to be pretty rough. I think Anthony Davis definitely has that sort of 1A, 1B option, but I think all around you just gotta trust LeBron James in the ball in his hands, because he'll make it happen. He'll do the right play, the right shot, the right whatever. His basketball IQ is probably the highest we've ever seen in any basketball player ever. So, yeah, I think LeBron, Anthony Davis, also an amazing shooter, maybe one of the best shooting bigs of all time, but again, I would just trust LeBron more in that scenario. For the Memphis Grizzlies, we got Ja Morant. I think yes. Again, sort of like the Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green conversation. He may not be the most, best shooter in the best case scenario, but he is your guy. He's your go-to guy. He's a young player. You just gotta let him go with it. You just gotta get that ball in his hands and get him used to being in that scenario, making plays, making the right shot, making the right choices. Because he's your guy. He's your cornerstone. You're gonna have him for years and years and years. He has to be able to get used to that scenario. I think, yes, Ja Morant, 1000%. Yeah, Miami Heat. They actually have Jimmy Butler for the Miami Heat. Ooh, God, that's really tough. We all know that Jimmy Butler can't shoot a basketball, which is pretty tough. Man, if Jimmy Butler had like a reliable three-point shot, man, that'd be pretty wild. But even without a three-point shot, I would probably still trust him the most on the team. I almost really want to say Tyler Hero, almost, not because that's like a hype-beast thing to say, but I mean, Tyler Hero is a very good scorer, a really good shooter. He can shoot the three pretty well. Man, if you're definitely down, 2 points, 3 points, I think Tyler Hero definitely isn't a bad choice, or maybe even Kyle Lowry. That's not even a bad choice either. Ooh, man, that's tough. I think, of course you put the ball in the hands of your best player in this scenario. It would be Jimmy Butler, and I really would trust Jimmy Butler. He's a very high IQ, smart basketball player as well. But if it is some sort of situation like that, Kyle Lowry looks really good. Tyler Hero, like I said, looks really good. I mean, of course they have Duncan Robinson, maybe one of the best three-point shooters, spot-up wise. Obviously, besides, like Steph Curry, but he looks really good when he shoots the three. So there's a lot of different scenarios there, but I think Jimmy Butler's probably the right answer for a clutch situation. For the Milwaukee Bucks, yes, I do agree. It's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. It is, of course, Chris Middleton. I think Chris Middleton, as a mid-range shooter, three-point shooter, the way he creates space, the way he scores off the dribble, I think he does it very well. I mean, of course, like Giannis, he can score, 50 points in a game and look really good, but would I trust him, Chris Middleton there. Now, of course, if Giannis could, create his own shot or do something like a Kevin Durant can do, I think, of course, that'd be amazing. But he's just not there in this game yet. He just has a lot more to do. He just uses a lot more of his physicality, his athleticism to score. I think the craftiness of Chris Middleton, I love that a lot. And, of course, creating space, being a three-point shooter. I really like Chris Middleton in that sort of scenario. I would actually also pick Chris Middleton in that for like a clutch shot. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have D'Angelo Russell. Of course, y'all know one of my favorite players, D-loading. Really, 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 really agree with this one. That man is ice cold, ice in his veins, absolutely cold-blooded. Love that pick for him and D'Angelo Russell. I think Karl Anthony Towns is, again, up there with maybe one of the best shooting picks of all time and a very reliable three-point shooter, but ever again talking 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, of course you want the ball in his hand, of a good ball control guy, and of course D'Angelo Russell being a point guard is that type of guy. For the New Orleans Pelicans, they actually have the player you're probably thinking of, the first thing you think about the New Orleans Pelicans. They actually have a Zion as the go-to guy. But I'm going to disagree, right? I think most people would. I think Brandon Ingram, if we're talking about a clutch shot, I think, yes, I would rather have the ball in the hands of Brandon Ingram, who's a player who can put the ball on the floor, who can create his own shot, create space, do a lot of things with the ball. Zion is just, a really good put-back guy. He gets good boards. He has a lot of good hustle, but I wouldn't trust him in, again, a half-court, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scenario. Absolutely not. I don't think he's there yet in this game to do that. I think Brandon Ingram is born for that. He has great skill. I mean, people call him the Slim Reaper Jr., like Kevin Durant, because he has that sort of type of game and style. So I would for sure go Brandon Ingram, but Zion is definitely good in a lot of other different scenarios. For the New York Knicks, they actually have Julius Randle, and I guess I can agree with that, but I wish it could be. I wish it could be RJ Barrett. I think he's almost there in this game, but just not there yet. Julius Randle is definitely a good player, and he can do a lot, especially in the post. He is definitely a lot better of a post player than I remember him being in any other spot in his career, in the Lakers, Pelicans, anything like that. So he can do something, but man, I wish it could be RJ, and the right answer might even be RJ. So you can just, again, like Cade Cunningham and all those guys I was talking about before, get him used to being in that scenario. Man, I think yes, Randle if you're trying to win a game, but I would love it to be RJ Barrett a little bit more than that. For OKC, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's a very easy one. Noda, yes, very, very high upside on SGA. The Orlando Magic, they have Jalen Suggs. Yes, no doubt. We've already seen it before, not once, but twice. Once being in the March Madness tournament. Also, I think he also had a game winner on a preseason game, did he not? He looks to be pretty clutch to me, a pretty decent shooter, can control the ball, can create space. Obviously very rusty being a rookie, but he is capable of doing that. I would pick also Jalen Suggs. The Philadelphia 76ers, they have Joel Embiid, which does make sense for, again, a lot of different other scenarios, but Tobias Harris, he is a pretty crafty player when it comes to a top of the key 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 guy, ball in his hand, can create space, can dribble the ball pretty well for a big as well. It's definitely not going to be Ben Simmons. Yeah, you know what? I think I would rather have it in the hands of Tobias Harris, unless again you can, get a good matchup in the post with Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid can get wide open for 3, I would really trust that shot in Joel Embiid, but if you're just setting up a clutch scenario like that, Tobias Harris is a really good player when it comes to that sort of type of scenario, and he's shown it a lot before. When you just go one-on-one isolation, Tobias Harris can really break down a lot of different defenders in the NBA. I think I'd go Toby, but Joel Embiid in, a lot of other scenarios, 100%. there's him. I wonder who. Yeah, Damian Lillard. Yes, of course. Damian Lillard, in his season debut this year, went 0 for 9. Yes, 0 for 9 on 3-pointers. I would still 11 times out of 10 choose Damian Lillard to take a last-second shot, a clutch shot in the NBA. No doubt about it. Jayson McCollum is a very good 3-point shooter, and pretty lucky to have both those guys on the team, but both very good scorers. Lillard is just, born for that type of stuff, and he does have bad games, of course, going 0 for 9 on 3, but I still trust that man with my life. Damian Lillard on a clutch shot. For the Sacramento Kings, they got De'Aaron Fox. I would also say yes, Buddy Hield is a fantastic 3-point shooter, but again, in every other scenario, I'd rather have the ball in the hands of De'Aaron Fox. In just the scenario of it being a 3-point shot, of course, you want it to be Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is maybe one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. Probably shot around 40% from 3 last year. But of course, with De'Aaron Fox, he's always going to get better. He's always going to improve. I hope he can also improve on that 3-point shot. He looked pretty good on his last game against Portland. But yeah, De'Aaron Fox, another one of my favorite players. We have DeJounte Murray of the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, the Spurs, anyone could take the shot. I mean, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, not bad. Even DeJounte Murray, if you want to, sure, go ahead. I mean, of course, he's not really the best scorer on the team, but I don't even know who really would be the best scorer on that type of team. That's kind of a tough talk to have, but sure, I'll agree with it. For the Toronto Raptors, they have Pascal Siakam. Absolutely not. This is the main reason why Siakam's value has gone so drastically low. It's because he can't be the go-to guy. He can't be the best scorer on your team. That's why Pascal Siakam's value is so weird. Because defensively, great. Team player-wise, amazing. He would be a fantastic, third option on a championship-winning team, maybe even second option, but he cannot be that go-to guy. I would rather go with Fred VanVleet. I think Fred VanVleet is a very reliable perimeter scorer. He is really good with the ball in his hand. He can control the ball very well. I'd rather have Fred VanVleet or maybe even my boy Gary Trent Jr. On that list before I even think about Pascal Siakam touching the ball in sort of a last-second shot scenario. But I'd pick Fred VanVleet. Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. That is the no-do one. That man is clutch. That man is, he is D-Wade reincarnated, even though D-Wade isn't fast yet, but that man is just definitely Dwayne Wade in the new generation. And lastly, Washington Wizards. No, it's not Kyle Kuzma. It is Bradley Beal, and that is a yes, of course. Bradley Beal, maybe one of the best scorers in the NBA, almost leading the league last year. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick little video. So hopefully you commented down below maybe your guy that you would trust with your life in their hands on a sort of a last-second clutch scenario like that. Also, make sure you guys like the video. If you do like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Very sorry for the NBA overload the past handful of days, because it is sort of the NBA, week, it seems to be, but tomorrow will probably be a normal ASMR video, and then after that I have no idea what's going to be, but going back to some usual